Okay, Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. A lot has happened since the last video. So, since the last video, there was a hospital bombing in Kyiv. I don't know what to say about that. It's just, it's a new low, but it's not surprising. And but what was more surprising is the Western reaction. It wasn't really, it was so-so, like, okay, they can strike more in Russia, but there's like the handcuffs are on it. It's a little bit of a dreary day today. Let's see if I can get some more sun into the camera. But yeah, so it's just, I think it was a test. I think the Russians were just testing after the Biden-Trump debate, you know, and all the election turmoil in France. You know, we dodged a bullet with Marine Le Pen, but losing doesn't mean it's like they're gone. It means that there's still a presence and they can disrupt a lot of voting. But I think they were just testing to see what they could get away with, really, in my mind. And then after that, you know, after this hospital thing and the European and American response, which, like I said, it was, you know, it's okay, I guess. They're going to get some more air defenses. You know, they can strike a bit more in Russia, but they're being held back. I'm reading in the news it's going back and forth about who and what they can strike, and you know, it's being discouraged, you know, from what from the way the tone of the news sounds. Then after that, you had a assassination attempt on Trump. You know, and he, I mean, man, he dodged a bullet. I mean, it was like Reagan, the Reagan assassination attempt. You know, if it was, the bullet had just come in like a centimeter different, Reagan would have been dead, but it like missed all his vital organs. You know, and the Pope John Paul II, same thing. The bullet was bouncing around in his body and missed all his vital organs. And Trump, this just clipped his ear. If his head was just turned like this, the whole, you know, this was like a 5.56 round. I mean, this is like a NATO round. Probably would have taken like the whole hemisphere of his head off. You know, I'm not sure if it was a hollow point round or what type of round it was, but it was hollow point. Definitely would have been gone. Probably at the very best, he'd been in a wheelchair. You know, if that had hit him. You know, and a vegetable on top of that. You know, so that would have been probably the best case scenario for him. But I think if that bullet had hit, it would have been, I think it would have been pretty instantaneous, the bleed out, and, you know. But what was even more surprising there was like the lack of preparation. I mean, when you look on Google Earth at this site he was at, those buildings, it's pretty clear to see. And I've shot M16, I've shot M4, I've shot AR-15 before. I'm not a great shot. You know, I'm right-eyed, left-handed. You know, so I mean, I'm right-handed, left-eye dominant, so I have to shoot left-handed. And I was able to hit targets, you know, definitely at 100 meters. You know, definitely get inside the circles and everything. So I don't know what they were thinking, like, about that perimeter. I mean, usually Secret Service is pretty thorough. I mean, I was living in Estonia when Bush Jr. came to visit, and we got warnings on our door and everything to keep our windows closed, and he was like far away from us. I mean, the motorcade was going to come down our street. They didn't say when, and when it did come, I was just sitting in a restaurant at the ground level because I didn't want to be in my apartment, you know, and have sniper bullets coming through or something, you know, if they see me moving around in the windows. I mean, we were all pretty scared. And when that motorcade came, first there was like all these Estonian police cars, then there was all these like black SUVs. I mean, there was like maybe about 5 minutes of just forward cars, and then the limo comes, you know, and then there's all these cars following the limo, and all the streets were closed and everything. And I think they were just taking them around Estonia, because it definitely wasn't the way to the airport. The airport was the other way, you know, but the Air Force One had come in to Tallinn, and yeah, and I mean, the whole town was locked down, and as I understood it, the Secret Service had filled up 2 hotels just for, I think it was like less than a 24-hour visit. So I don't know what they were thinking, but I think I think there's going to be some heads rolling. Now, as far as how this affects the election, you know, and also Trump picked J.D. Vance. I predicted that actually with some friends. If I was able to bet on it, I would have made 2.25 times my money back. I was betting on J.D. Vance or Josh Hawley as his pick. But if there was casino odds, I probably would have picked. J.D. was in the top 5 according to the casino betting, and I think he was number 2 or 3. I would have taken him. And you would have made money on him. They actually, for vice president, they favored the governor of North Dakota. But I was like, I have a few friends in a WhatsApp group I talked to back in the U.S. about politics, and we were saying like, governor of North Dakota. I mean, it's only 3 electoral votes. And North Dakota already votes Republican. You know, J.D. Vance is from Ohio, which is a swing state. So that was just like a screaming obvious pick. And I mean, picking Rubio from Florida or something. I think Florida is already in the red column, so why would you need a vice president from Florida? I mean, so yeah. But yeah, so that was the other news, is his vice president pick. But I'm just curious what this investigation is going to bring on this. I mean, the shooter wasn't a ex-Marine commando or anything like that. He was a high school kid, you know. I mean, you know, without any real proper training. I mean, he was in a rifle club and maybe a pretty decent shot, but how he got through, you know, and. Because like I say, I would have thought, like when I was in Estonia, the president's main meeting places and everything were over a kilometer away, and our area was locked down. I would have thought everything within a kilometer, half-mile radius would be on very strict lockdown, and then everything a little bit further would be on watch with drones or something. I mean, they have drones now. Wasn't anyone flying a Secret Service drone overhead or something just to see what was going on? And there were people, I mean, I'm seeing videos, people saying they saw something and no one was responding. So I don't know. I don't know. It smells a bit fishy. You know, this is like kind of lapses don't happen. These are like the most professional security service in the world. You know, presidential detail of the U.S. Secret Service. That is like as elite as it gets. So, I mean, a lot of people attribute it to DEI and, you know, wokeness, you know, which probably may have had a lot to do with it. I mean, it's been screwing up a lot of other things in America. You know, Boeing has been all screwed up, and, you know, that they had to offshore a lot of their production and sourcing. You know, when Boeing was all done in America and run by engineers, the planes weren't falling apart in the air like they are now. So, yeah. Yeah, so what else we got here? Yeah, so I mean, as far as the outcome goes, so how does this affect Trump's chances of winning? I mean, he's run ahead in the sports betting, but in the polls, he's about the same. It's probably made his voters more determined, but has it won him over new voters? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe a few, like moderates who are on the fence and leaning towards him now will go out and vote for him. But it hasn't brought him any new people. But like I said, it's still on the Democrats. I mean, their voters need to be like energized, or, you know, especially the young college kids. They need to see a concert. They need, you know, Taylor Swift or something. But if they're running Biden, I guess we'll find out next week. I mean, some of his donors have pulled funding, while Elon Musk is pledging $45 million a month to Trump's campaign. You know, so maybe there'll be a shakeout. But if they put Harris in front, that's even worse, because they've spent the last 4 years shutting her up and, you know, hiding her and just using her to, you know, in the background, or doing some ribbon cutting, you know, just keeping very low visibility on her. And now suddenly she has to be the president. She has to run. You know, she hasn't, you know, she's not viable. And if she picks someone like AOC for her vice president, or, you know, some far left person, people aren't going to show up, you know, and then the Trump people will win, and that's, I think, what sports betting has kind of used as their logic to give Trump his odds. You know, he's like a 4 for 7, and Biden is like 15 for 4. It's like a big difference in the odds now. And then they're talking about Michelle Obama, but that's just like Hillary Clinton. The First Lady is not a qualification. Being a wife of a president is not a qualification. You know, it's she has to stand on her own in the Senate or something, or as a governor, you know, then been more credible. But what else? Yeah. And then, so like I said, if they put Gretchen Whitmer or Gavin Newsom, you know, put this combo president, vice president, I don't know how they do it, whichever one is more probable, whatever the polls say, then we still got a chance. We still have a chance in the November. But right now I'm not seeing it. But, you know, then again, this news cycle, it's very short. You know, in a month, everything is going to be forgotten, and there's going to be some new stuff going on. So, yeah, we have to see. I mean, I'm betting that the Democrats will come to their senses, you know, especially if the donors are pulling the money. It is all about this campaign funding, you know. And I wrote in the comments, like, Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer, they can go and win the White House, and they can just let Joe Biden hang out. He can wander around the White House and give advice to people, or, you know, he can sit in on meetings, or, you know, be an advisor or something like that, or, you know, just be a figurehead. But having him in charge of the red button and putting him into debates, that's just cruel. That's just, someone's got to step in and do something. But yeah. But right now it's looking like a Trump presidency. And I don't know, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think all of Ukraine gets thrown under the bus. You know, it would be hard to hold for the Russians if they took all of it. I don't think they're going to get cooperation from the government people and bureaucrats, especially here in Lviv, to carry out like a Yanukovych agenda. You know, like if they put in a puppet government, you know, and you know, I mean, at worst they'll just create more bureaucracy and maybe make a little bit more problems for us foreigners living here. But things will be more loosey-goosey. I'm not sure how it. I don't know what kind of deal. I don't think Trump is gonna. They're pretty clear on not letting Ukraine in NATO, so it would look like Georgia, like it would be like a. You know, there would be a truce, but it would really be up to the Russians, you know, deciding when to break the truce, you know, and Ukraine would, you know, I don't know if they would, you know, if they get the puppet, I don't know how bad it would be, but I think it would just roll back to Yanukovych time, you know, where things were leaning towards Russia, but, you know, you could still live here as a foreigner and you could still get things done. The airports were open, but, you know, investment was tricky. And would people want to invest? You know, I mean, Eastern Poland right now is growing faster than China, and it's inside the EU and it's got NATO. So, you know, if I was like a Wall Street person, I would be investing in Eastern Poland, probably on the Finnish border towns, you know, where they're going to be building up a NATO people. So it would be like Georgia. It would be like the old Ukraine, I think, is what a Trump one-day deal would look like. You know, the Russians would take some territory. There would be a, you know, Zelensky would be out, you know, and someone to the Russians' liking would be in. I mean, our day-to-day life would probably be okay. I mean, like I said, there might be some bureaucracy, but I think in this, like I said, this part of Ukraine, I don't know how much they would go along with it, you know. But then again, like people working in government offices, they don't really see wide, they just see narrow. And if there's some additional paperwork, some additional taxes or something, or just some more BS we got to put up with, you know, I think, yeah, it would be like that. It would be like living here 20 years ago. It would just be some BS to deal with. But I think overall it would be okay. I don't know. It definitely won't be okay, like in the sense that like it was in the good old times, but I don't think we'll be inside the Russian Federation. You know, we would just be living like in the free part of Georgia, And Georgia is just going sideways. You know, no big institutions want to invest there because everyone doesn't know when the Russians will take the rest of it or try to grab it all. Or like Moldova, you know, no one's really investing much in Moldova because they're kind of just laying out there exposed. But I do know people living in Moldova and life is going on, and you know, it's just kind of a sideways thing over there. You know, it's I think if there is a truce, and I don't know if the refugee status will still be on. I mean, if Europe still has refugee status after a truce, then a lot of people will leave Ukraine, especially if the guys, you know, they're talking about now that the army is getting enough recruits and they can start letting some people out, you know, who've been fighting for 3 years, that they can, you know, I don't know, get a break or even you know, what is it, get out of the military. There's a word for this. I forgot what this word was. Discharge. Get discharged. And maybe they would all run for Europe. I don't know if they will still have the restriction on men here or not leaving, but if they raise that restriction on men, you'll definitely have an exodus. You'll definitely have a lot of people just trying to get the hell away, you know. So it would be a bit chaotic, you know. But yeah, the shooting would stop and the rockets would stop, but you would always have this like air of uncertainty hanging over you. There's no straight future. But then, you know, if the Democrats win, it's you know, and you know, Europe, you know, they're aligned with Europe. This could go on another 10 years, and we're in this limbo state. No airport. You know, the dollar's slowly been getting stronger and all what have you. You know, a little bit of inflation, but yeah. So I don't know. It's very foggy right now what's going to happen. But I don't think this election is decided. I don't think it's decided. Like I said, this assassination attempt, this is about 4 weeks of the news cycle at most. You know, this hospital, like we saw, this hospital bombing, it's even a little late for me to report on it. It's mostly forgotten in the West. It has already been mostly forgotten in the Western media. I mean, some Russian pilots had come forward and said that this was planned and not an accident, but really nothing much is being done. And you know, I mean, when you look at the media and look at, you know, the journalism, it's already dropping off. It's just the way it is, you know. So yeah, and I got to get ready now for my daughter's swimming lesson. She's just over 6 months. She's started eating. It's every day is a bit of a circus to get her fed, and you know, she's playing with the food more than eating the food. That's typical. And you know, swimming lessons are getting scarce. It's getting harder and harder to find lessons. We got to find a few more swimming pools and have some backups. And it's like the guy who changes my water filters, it's like first time he told me I have to wait 2 weeks. Usually I just have to wait 1 week for him. So I don't know, there's some scarcity starting to form here. I don't know if these are good indicators or not, but I noticed that things are taking just slightly longer. And we've been living through blackouts, 50%. It's been steady. And actually the power's been coming on a little bit earlier and going off a little bit later. So I think that situation is getting steadied. But when it was like blistering hot last few days, yeah, and we wanted to run the air conditioner, we couldn't. You know, we couldn't do it. So yeah. All right, that's all I got. I hope you all have a nice day.